Okay, this following clip, there's a lot of commentary throughout the hand. So for the most part, I'm just going to let it run and then sort of sum up what just happened. It's pretty amazing stuff. Let's take a look.
Come on, Mike. Hook me up.
All right, kids. Action will be on 5 and most likely let it go. So it'll be 5, 6, followed by 7.
Playing cash game, $1 and $2 blind, no limit hold'em. Everyone's got about 1,000 in front of them.
Hand like this, I'm just looking to play a flyer, if you will. I'm going to make it 5. I like raising with a hand like this in early position because it opens me up for when I want to raise with hands like aces and kings. It also makes me more unpredictable, and it's a hand that might catch somebody by surprise if I hit the flop really well. Generally speaking, people respect raises from early position more so than late position. So by doing this, I'm allowing myself to also get action when I do have aces and kings. Where if you're the conservative player, tight player, raising from this position, automatically people are going to throw away ace queen and ace jack, and I don't really want that to happen when I have aces or kings. I want people to call me with those hands thinking that I might have a 7-8 suited.
So Daniel's been playing pretty tight. I always like to play these types of hands and see what happens. You have to be kind of cautious though with king suited because you could always be up against a higher flush draw, but just as many times you're going to be up against suited connectors. So, playing this deep stacked, as long as I'm cautious, then I think it's fine calling this spot.
Paul Waska just smooth called me, which means he can have a wide range of hands. He can have a pocket pair like 7s or 8s, maybe an ace-queen suited, king-queen suited. I don't think he's slow playing a big hand here, but it's very possible as well. Multi-way pot, this is a situation where if I don't hit the flop solid, I won't be wasting any more money. It's just kind of like a hit or miss right here. It's a decent flop for me, not the greatest in the world, but it gives me a chance here. I don't really want to price myself out of it, so I'm going to check. I will call a bet here, as long as it's not too big, and hope to snap off the queen. If I do that, there's a chance I could win a really big pot.
I'm betting 15 here to just see what happens. I don't want to bet too much and then be in an awkward spot if I get raised. At the same time, just kind of looking at people's reactions to my bet. And
Paul's got something pretty obviously, but he's bet 15 and there's 25 in the pot. 15 to win 40. Definitely got a call here.
And if I get raised, I'll just kind of go with my gut at this point. I think it's important to bet out here, not be too afraid to check.
Definitely bet big, just in case he also has a 9. If a 7 comes on the turn, I'm going to bet a large amount.
I don't know what I put him on. Let's see.
Okay, let's stop it right there for just a second. You see, right here she says, I don't know what I put him on, and she's calling the $15 bet. It's just too big a bet with a mediocre hand. She's got ace-9, so she can possibly hit a 7 and make the straight. But, of course, if she does that, she's going to be in big trouble against my hand. But the big problem also is the fact there's a couple clubs there, and she's out of position. So right here, she says, I don't know what I put him on, but you can't really make this call out with ace-9 offsuit in this position. The call before the flop was fine. Of course, Rodney calling with 9-5 offsuit was not a good play. Defending your big blind when it's $3 more and you've got 2 in is just fine. Right now, let's take a look and see how this hand develops.
I want to hesitate a little bit so that I don't give away the fact that I'm on a draw. Pretend I'm getting a read on him, which I'm really not. I could care less what he has for the most part.
He could have top pair or a straight draw.
All right, I'm going to call.
So I got called by 2 people, which leads me to believe that I still have the best hand. I'm probably going to bet it big if it's check to me.
That's a death card for me. The problem with that card is even if I hit my hand now, there's no way I can play a big pot. And the goal with this hand was to win a really, really big pot. So that card pairing or a club on the turn was a death card. Now at this point, if Paul bets, I can't even call. He might already be full, and he also might have a hand like Queen 10, meaning that even if I hit, I still can't win.
Yes.
It's important to price out flush draws and straight draws here. So I want to bet stiff, but at the same time, not make my hand too obvious. So,
Well, the size of his bet leads me to believe that he's not there yet. I feel as though if he was already full, he might have bet a little bit less. He might have bet 40 or 35, but the $50 bet leads me to believe he has a pair of 3 tens with maybe a king or a queen. So having said that, I mean, I can't draw to this hand anymore, because even if I hit it, I can't really bet it, so I have to fold.
And that was a really interesting dialogue between Paul Waska and myself. And it's a question I get a lot is how do you put people on a hand? And it's not magic. It's often related to bet sizing. It's related to betting patterns. And in this case, the size of Paul's bet on the turn made it clear to me that it seemed likely that he wasn't necessarily already full. So it looks like he's got the best hand. He did bet the flop, but he's falling through on the turn. So it looks like at 10. He did call a raise before the flop. So, a hand like king 10 or queen 10, which is you heard what I mentioned, would be my guess. So it wasn't, it's not, what do you call it, magic, as I said. It's actually like thought process that happens on every street. So before the flop, I had a wide range of hands, as you heard me say. I said he could be on a pocket pair, an ace-queen suited, a king-queen suited, any type of hand like that. After the flop, still unsure what he has, but it looks like he has the best hand in position. Now on the turn, his bet size helps me narrow down his hand size a little bit more. It doesn't feel like a full house, because if he had a full house, he wouldn't really be afraid of letting the flush draws in there. One other thing to talk about in this hand was my decision to check the flop. Now, with this kind of a board, Jack-9 is a good straight draw here. You hit that 7, you can win a really big pot against a player with just the 9 in their hand. But the problem with that flop is that there's 2 clubs on board. So despite the fact that I've got a nut straight draw, if it comes with a club, I'm just not going to get any action. Now, that 10 pairing on the turn, obviously death. Now, as I mentioned before, there's just nothing I can do here. The player that made, obviously, the biggest mistake in this hand was Jacqueline. Her calling the raise before the flop was okay. Then on that flop, she pretty much has to abort mission and give up. As you can see, she was kind of lost in the hand. She's like, I don't really know what I put him on, and kind of made like a sort of a compulsive move without really thinking it through. So Paul played the hand very well, but as you can tell, the bet sizing there, and this is something to think about when you're playing against players that have patterns or betting patterns. I don't have a great deal of time playing with Paul, but it seemed like in this situation, a bet of that size signified 3 tens with a good kicker. As it turns out, it didn't matter. I couldn't call even a smaller bet once that card came, but it just gives you a little insight into how a professional poker player thinks about putting a player in a hand.